Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest post-up show. I'm Cyrus. That is Preseason K, Kaunda, Chama. The post-up show's back. The NBA season is back. Kaunda, it's time to get busy with the season. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Just look, this is the shortest break you and I have had in many years between postseason and preseason, and it actually works for me, Si. I don't know about you. It's like, okay, the NBA was gone for a minute, and it's back. I'm happy.
Back.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
There's a lot to get through, actually, because there's so much stuff happening so far. You know, the season starts, we're talking days here. And
5
most of the
days.
teams are starting. Well, let's not count down the days. It's going to be a lot less by the time everybody sees this. So the thing about it is that, you know, when we look at what's happening in terms of how teams are shaped up and the look and feel of the NBA, it feels as if it's a different league somehow in a way, you know? I mean, maybe it's the coronavirus, maybe it's, you know, the pandemic and all of this stuff, but the moves, the new rookies coming in from the draft, we're going to have a heck of a season. What are you looking forward to seeing? I mean, I'm wearing this in your honor, you know, the champions, the Lakers being repped by me. Never happens.
Well, I'm doing this to rep Russell Westbrook going to DC. So let's just do what we do.
No, then let's go one more. Let's go one more. You know, we're gonna rep LaMelo Ball.
No comeback. I'm sorry, sir. You win.
One of those things.
Look, Cyrus. If you ask me what I'm looking forward to, firstly on top, and you know this, the possibility of the Lakers going back to back for me is something that continues to excite me. But also because I wouldn't want to see the Lakers have it so easy, although I'd like them to win in the end. I want to see if the Clippers can come back and try and finish the job they started last season. I want to see, you know, there was a lot of anticipation, there was a lot of excitement, I guess, towards what was potentially going to be the battle for the LA in the Western Conference Finals. I would like to see if that can happen again. But obviously, the likes of the Denver Nuggets will say, "Hey, Kaunda, why are you being so presumptive, dude? Like we didn't show you last season
Exactly.
that we've got what it takes to put down a top-seeded team or one of the top teams in the top five." I think the Utah Jazz might have something to say about that. And I'm looking forward to
it West Coast there. You've been keeping it West Coast in all of these names you're rolling out.
This is just in relation to the Los Angeles Lakers potentially taking the West and going all the way. In the East side, we all know KD's healthy. We all know Kyrie's healthy. They got Spencer Dinwiddie. They got Jared Allen. They got Caris LeVert. Cyrus, the Brooklyn Nets are looking nice. They are looking nice, and their bench isn't shallow either. So I'm trying to see what's coming out of there. I don't know what's going to happen in Miami because, dude, there was a surprise appearance in the finals last season. They pushed as far as they could go. But if Bam is healthy and Goran is healthy, hey, maybe they could do it again.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
I don't know. I mean, Kay, look, you know, you got to look at the other side of it as well with the Heat when it comes down to their chances. I mean, yes, you've got like Tyler Hero. He's going to be in his second season. Sometimes they talk about the sophomore slump, and that could happen. But I also look at them and I say, maybe the bubble was just the right conditions for that Heat team. You know, they've got grit, they've got grind. They had their noses to the grindstone, and they just went for it. But you've got an Eastern Conference that has so much happening. So when you look at some of the teams, I mean, the Bucks themselves haven't necessarily gotten a hell of a lot better, but they've brought in pieces that they needed. So for instance, Drew Holiday is an upgrade on Eric Bledsoe. And so when you look at it that way, now you've got Holiday, Giannis, and Chris Middleton, that already is quite a nice lineup. And then the bits and pieces they've put in around them are actually pretty good. The problem for the Bucks, though, is that when they were trying to put their pieces together, they completely messed up that trade with Bogdan Bogdanovic, and everything just fell to pieces there. And so they started to look real bad. But the reality is they've managed to get Giannis to sign the Supermax. He's there for the next 5 years. We don't see anything changing that. And then he said to the team, let's make this a team that can actually challenge. And I think if there's one thing that has to happen for the Bucks, it's that Coach Budenholzer finally finds a different mechanism to try and get points when things aren't going his way. I've been saying this on these streets. I think it's going to be a thing this season. Watch out for Bryn Forbes at the Milwaukee Bucks. But, I could be one of those people who's the only person who's really excited about what could happen with Forbes. But you've got the Bucks, you've got the Nets, you've got the Heat, I suppose, because they've done so well last season. Who else in the East do you think could potentially make a run?
Cyrus, Rondo going to Atlanta, as well as Bogdanovich himself going to Atlanta. To me, that squad is looking solid. One Trae Young will stay as strong as he's been. Who's the big boy with the African roots that got the
Clint Capella, and they've just drafted Onyeka Okongwu. So they've got and Bruno Fernandes is also there. Fernando, sorry, yeah.
Cyrus, they're not the strongest team in the world or in the league, may I say. But at the moment, when I looked at them on paper, I said, wait a minute. ATL could actually do something this season. I'm not saying they could take the East, but they could have a deep postseason berth if they stay healthy and they get some chemistry happening there. I mean, obviously we can't talk about the East without talking about the Boston Celtics. It's just that the Miami Heat were on a tear last season, Cyrus, and they were knocking down anyone in sight. It was like they were doing. No, I'm not going to mention Nate Robinson. Let's just keep it moving. But they were knocking out teams at will. It was like Jimmy Butler wheeled that team to the finals. And all due respect to Jimmy Butler, but the Boston Celtics were just a victim along the way. And I think they still have what it takes to make a good appearance in this postseason. I trust that young team. I trust Brad Stevens. The changes that have taken place at the Boston Celtics are not really that major to shake that team up, huh?
Well, I think I agree with you there. And I mean, one team to add to the Eastern Conference mix has to be the Philadelphia 76ers with the addition of Daryl Morey in the front office. And then obviously, head coach there, Doc Rivers, he's got the kind of skill set that could really change things. But to go back to the theme of looking forwards to what's happening in the season, let's talk a little bit about preseason so far. Now, we've had some really, really great showings in terms of certain teams starting to really show that they've got what it takes in terms of gelling. I mean, you can never gauge anything from any preseason because some teams just haven't even played enough minutes. Players like LeBron James and Anthony Davis have only just had a handful of minutes, really. But who do you feel has been sort of eye-catching so far, just in terms of what you've seen?
Well, Cyrus, I'm going to keep it real for a second. THT, Talon Horton-Tucker. That young boy, I hope the sophomore curse doesn't get him, but he's already looking loose. He's already looking impressive to get more than 30 points. It's a preseason game. Let's just keep it real. But still, you're coming back. It's preseason. It's your sophomore season, and you're looking good. But let's also remember that he had a couple of impressive minutes in last season's postseason. If you remember, they put him in Game 6. I think he was in Game 4 and 5 as well, if I stand corrected. But he had some impressive minutes in the postseason. So it's not like it's the fluke of the preseason, right? And then if I may go, because I haven't caught all the games, but I also caught the Phoenix Suns. I think I spoke about this with you off camera. I like what Chris Paul looks to be doing. I think that veteran experience. I think there's been some locker room discussions with the young fellas there. They picked up a good rook in the draft. Devin Booker is looking like Devin Booker as usual. He's shooting from anywhere. I think Devin Booker is probably related to Steph Curry. I need to do some investigation. He just shoots from everywhere, and it just goes in.
Sometimes that Curry gene just goes across, people who aren't even related.
DeAndre Ayton in the center position there, looking very good as well, looking very athletic, and I think that team should be looked at as a team in the next couple of seasons. If they keep that momentum, they're going to look pretty cool.
I like the look of the Suns.
Look in the East, like I said, I can't fault ATL. I like their look. And I think that they're going to do some nice things. So far, what I've seen is nothing short of impressive. I saw a couple of minutes from Kevin Durant. Cyrus, once that boy shakes off the rust, he's been
Yeah,
away for about 18 months,
yeah.
close to 2 full seasons. Once that boy shakes off that rust, it's going to be problems. Oh my word, I was like, this is the same Kevin Durant that ran a train through Cleveland, and LeBron was there. And
Yeah,
then
look,
right by his
he's
side,
that guy.
was Uncle Drew. Now you watch the movie Uncle Drew, and Kyrie was looking like he was playing a scripted game. Like, did they script that? Like, he's got those handles, he's got those fancy finishes, and it just makes you look like you just came to watch, but you're actually in the game. I think
Yeah.
I like what I'm seeing in Brooklyn, Cyrus. I like what I'm
Look,
seeing in Brooklyn.
the Nets are really looking good, and I mean their preseason form. There's not much to really talk about in terms of loads of performances, but what we have seen so far. KD is looking good. Kyrie's looking good. Obviously, Joe Harris is part of that mix. The rest of the team that they've got there is really looking fantastic. And Jarrett Allen. They've also got DeAndre Jordan. So they've got a really good mix. It's just a question of seeing how everything sort of comes together. And so far, so good for them. Weirdly, a team we haven't spoken about is the Toronto Raptors, who haven't actually done a lot in terms of bringing new talent in. They've brought in the likes of Aaron Baines, and he'll be a very important player for them. But that's really to replace the outgoing Serge Ibaka. So, when you look at the players that they've brought in, it's really more to fill spaces that they'd lost some talent in, as opposed to really looking for star players to sort of fill the spaces that they needed where they seemed to lack last season. However, I guess for the Raptors, it's always about trying to improve the players that they have on board. So Pascal Siakam could take a jump. We could see Chris Boucher take another jump forwards. And obviously then betting down Fred VanVleet to a really good contract means that they've got VanVleet, they've got the continuity, Kyle Lowry is still there. So there's still opportunities. I guess at this point, though, when we're looking at the preseason stuff, the teams that I've really enjoyed watching, I'm going to give you some of the players, the teams that I haven't enjoyed watching, and that's the Knicks. Geesh, I mean, they were horrible the other night, yet weirdly, they won. So it was one of those where you watch them play, they were absolutely terrible. I'll almost use some expletives here. And yet, but that rookie of theirs, Obi Toppin, looks like he's got a lot of potential. So I'm keen to see what happens with them. The fun teams, I mean, the Charlotte Hornets look like they're going to be a team to keep an eye on with LaMelo Ball there. And obviously the Warriors, Steph is looking as if he hasn't skipped a beat. Broken hands, broken arms, broken whatever, he's back. And I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see. We haven't seen James Wiseman really, so it's just going to be a question of what Warriors really gets into the season. Now,
Cyrus, sorry, I'm gonna jump into the Warriors. I watched the Warriors twice already. And is it Otto Porter Jr. they've got?
Kelly Oubre.
Kelly Oubre Jr. Sorry, Kelly Oubre looking hella nice at the Warriors, Cyrus.
He's looking all right. He's looking all right.
Kent Bazemore, who I started seeing disappear into nothing in Atlanta, looks like he's having a second wind at the Warriors, Cyrus. Steph, I don't have to talk about Steph. Steph is just stepping. He's still shooting, practice shots from the parking lot, hitting a pole, going nothing but net. I've been very concerned about them, obviously due to the Klay Thompson injury. But the pieces I'm seeing around Steph, and this is something that blew my mind. I realized the other day, I think I was talking to you about it, that Klay, Steph, and Draymond are the veterans of the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, we are no longer young.
A couple of seasons ago, did you think they would be the vets? But because now, Steph is not the not so baby-faced assassin, So, that's why I think he's letting the beard grow and everything. But what I wanted to say, my point, why I went off the highway was the young pieces around Steph, even Andrew Wiggins, are looking impressive. And I'm thinking, although I was thinking, the best that the Warriors will do this year is a postseason appearance. But I see them going into the second round because those kids are I'm calling them kids because I'm old, as you can see.
Mhm.
They're energetic, they're athletic. I think with a locker room guy like Draymond, with now a seasoned guard that like Steph. Obviously,
Yeah.
even Clay, although he's not playing, he's going to be on that bench. That energy is still going to be filtering through in the locker room, off the bench. I think the Warriors can do something. Not win the championship, but they can do something.
I think I tend to agree. I've had this feeling that people have written them off because of the Clay injury, and yes, that's been a massive blow for them. But the other side to that really is that we haven't actually really noticed just how important some of the other players are. For me, this could be the sense of seeing Andrew Wiggins come to the party. And this could be because he doesn't have any of the pressure that he had in Minnesota. And yeah, we saw him playing on the Warriors roster last season, but he hadn't had real, a lot of time to adjust. Then the season just sort of ended. So we're going to see these guys finally get together and play some basketball and see whether or not it's worthwhile putting all of your money on guys like Wiggins if you're the Warriors. And I think that they'll figure things out in that end. What's interesting for me is there's the Dallas Mavericks, who we haven't spoken about. We've touched on the Denver Nuggets, they've really look as if they've got a nice squad, a nice rotation around them. Hopefully Michael Porter Jr. can take a step up for them and Ball can play more. But there's a Luka Doncic, and yes, he's still kind of injured. Kristaps Porzingis combination in Dallas that really, really could be something special with the pieces around them. So I think the Western Conference is going to be a very intriguing watch this season.
Cyrus, I think you're going to be surprised that the Eastern Conference is actually going to be more intriguing this season than the Western.
I'd be very happy to see that.
You're going to see. There's been so much movement around that the East becomes very interesting, and it's no longer the Eastern Conference, as some people call it. I mean, KD's gone that way. I mean, Kyrie stayed in the East. Russell Westbrook's gone to the East.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff happening in the East which we should look out for. I know the West is still stacked, but the East is going to be very interesting, especially with the Brooklyn Nets looking the way they're doing. And don't sleep on the other teams. Cyrus, thinking they're going to be like, oh, KD's in Brooklyn, so is Kyrie. Let's all bow down. They'll be like, No. You got to bring your A game. We do not care. That's exactly, what the Toronto Raptors did in their championship season, right?
Yeah.
Everybody thought, that team from up north, and they were like, nah, we're here. Obviously, luck played on their side because of the injuries with KD and Clay
in the finals. But in order to get there, they won some big games.
Absolutely. I mean, they managed to beat Joel Embiid in the 76ers. They managed to shut down Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks. So, it wasn't an easy path. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
So I think watch the East. Watch the East. The East is going to be interesting.
I'm very keen. As you mentioned that, when you think about the matchups, in essence, this could actually be a sort of collision course between the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks for who could be the number one seed. But then almost behind them, and we've elevated them because of KD and Kyrie, you've got the Philadelphia 76ers, the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat who in the finals, the Toronto Raptors, and that basically makes up your sort of top five as such. And then the teams below them, there's a lot of competition, people who could potentially vie for spots with, in the playoff spots. And don't forget, we've also got the play-in games happening this season. So there's a heck of a lot of stuff that could happen and could make it really exciting. Like you mentioned, the Atlanta Hawks, I love the look of them. They still have John Collins on their roster, who I am a big fan of. And if they can just integrate him a lot more this season, they could actually really do some stuff. The Charlotte Hornets are going to be fun to watch because people want to see what's happening with LaMelo Ball. And then, you've got a whole bunch of teams in that East who are there or thereabouts in terms of, making a push, trying to change their fortunes from a couple of seasons ago. But then they could also just start leaning into the lottery, one of our favorite phrases.
Maybe driving one of those armored vehicles. No, you're never quite sure. Like even Cyrus, when you look at the likes of the Washington Wizards, not the biggest team to talk about, but they've got Westbrook. Hachimura is looking... Is looking good. They've got Bradley Beal, and they picked up Robin Lopez. who's quite a good rim protector when he has a great night, and he's good with those second chance buckets, and he does also help stretch the floor from time to time. So even the Wizards shouldn't be slept on. They've got some talent that side. I know they don't have John Wall anymore. Good luck to him at the Rockets. If we're looking at the East, they've got some. If I may put it this way, Cyrus, the gap between the first seed and the eighth seed in the East is not that it's not that much of a great big canyon. It's not that wide. It's not a canyon
like in previous seasons. Yes, I definitely agree with you, and I think I probably would say that in terms of the gap being massive, because I think the Bucks have run away with the East in the past, and but that number one seed in the East hasn't really counted for much because the Bucks haven't even really gone to the conference final, so we haven't seen that. But there will be a lot of teams who, because of changed coaching stuff, like the Chicago Bulls, who could be really fun to watch. We don't know what to expect from them. With Zach LaVine looking like he could have a breakout season, Lauri Markkanen could be important on that roster. Kobe White's there. Even the Cleveland Cavaliers, dare I say it, have actually got a couple of young players who could be really entertaining. I don't think they'll be pushing for a playoff place, but they'll be really entertaining. Garland is pretty good. Sexton's pretty good. I like the look of those two. And when you start thinking about just some of the guys who are on that roster, they could be fun to watch in parts. Not necessarily saying they're going to make the playoffs and everybody's going to be like, wow, this is amazing.
Cyrus, the best thing in Cleveland is Kevin Love. I promise school. The best thing in Cleveland is Kevin Love. I promise school. Okay, let's just keep it all the way real here.
I'm with you. You've even left Andre Drummond off the equation there, and I guess in some cases rightly so. But just to close things off, though, Kaunda, I mean, this almost takes us to who are the top 5 teams in the East do you think could be? In fact, let's call them teams to watch, and the 5 teams in the West, and then I'll give you mine.
Okay, if I'm starting with the East, Brooklyn Nets for obvious reasons, KD and Kyrie. I'm going to be watching those the Miami Heat. They were very impressive last season, Cyrus. I hope they can just keep that momentum going. I can't watch without watching the Boston Celtics. I'm a Laker fan, arch enemies, always performing. So, and I've mentioned the Atlanta Hawks. I'm really looking forward to what the Atlanta Hawks would do. I can't go out of the East without mentioning the Milwaukee Bucks, but I must have a 6.
You've got your 5. No,
I'm a sport brat. I have to put a 6 one.
No, that's it. We said
all right,
5.
No 6. Okay, no 6. Okay, then let me go to the West. Right? Let me go to the West. The West. I got the Lakers. I got the Clippers. I'm looking forward to watching the Warriors at some sort of strength again. Denver Nuggets were beautiful last season. I think nothing's going to change there. And you see, I need 6, but I'm not going to go for 6. I'm going to go 5. My 5th is going to be. It's going to be the Utah Jazz. It's going to be the Utah Jazz. I love the Utah Jazz last season.
Okay.
Utah Jazz last season.
I mean, look, I'm not going to hate on the Jazz. They've got Donovan Mitchell, heck of a player. Let's
Rudy
see what
Gobert.
happens. I wasn't going to go there. Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower, one of the greatest nicknames in the NBA. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the Jazz, but I'm not here to rain on your parade. So the Jazz could be nice. For me, Lakers I want to watch, Clippers I want to watch, Nuggets are a team to watch. Depending on what happens with James Harden, and even if, this seems more likely of a when he leaves than an if he leaves, I still want to see what happens with the Nuggets. The Rockets.
The
John
Rockets,
Wall, Cousins, those are 2 nice pieces. If they can trade Harden for somebody to really add to that roster, imagine Ben Simmons goes across to Houston. Simmons and John Wall could be a really interesting combination. So I think whatever they sort of get in Houston could actually bolster them. Obviously, it's not going to be James Harden level, but it'll be an interesting watch. And I think I've given you 4. And I think the Warriors, it was a toss-up. I was going to say the Dallas Mavericks. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. But I'm a Warriors fan. I love Steph. I love seeing what he does. So, that's my 5 in the West. In the East, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Sixers, the Nets, and I'm going to probably say the Atlanta Hawks. I'm actually really, really keen to see what happens with them. I've got a strong feeling that this could be the season where Trae Young really takes that next leap. I think Luka had that last season where he went from being a really good rookie to being a really good sophomore, whereas Trae Young had a bit of a more gradual process because of the guys who were there and the fact that he didn't necessarily have much help. Now, when you look at the Hawks, you've got a Rondo there, there's a Capella, a few of the other players have gotten a lot more experience. Your John Collins, there's still a Kevin Huerter. So, they could trade out a couple of players. There's still a couple, of players they might be able to make. But I think this could be the season where Trae Young finally gets more recognition for how talented he is, and not just the belief that Puma have showed in him, but the belief that his team have showed in him as well. But yeah, that's been a great post-up show. Kaunda, so this was the sort of special edition, first one for the 2020-21 season. We'll be back next week to give everybody a little bit more love as we build up to the new season. Parting words from you as we head into the last couple of days and the last stretch of preseason before the season starts. Do you think this is the season where LeBron James wins an MVP, like his next MVP? Or are those days done?
I think those days are done because he always goes into this race with a big target on his back. And I think there's LeBron fatigue. You're talking about LeBron and Rich Paul. You're talking about LeBron and THT because now he's signed to Rich Paul. You're talking about LeBron winning the championship and chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan. You're talking, is LeBron better than Steph? You're talking, is LeBron better than KD? I think people get so LeBron fatigued that they don't even notice that he's doing well. And LeBron has set a bar so high that we just get used to him. Like, okay, it's LeBroning. It's like Steph winning a 3-point contest. We wouldn't be that impressed. Face the truth, Cyrus. If Steph won a 3-point contest, you'd be like, well, that's Steph.
It's kind of expected. Yeah, it's kind of expected.
So I just think, in as far as championships are concerned, I think this might be the season where he wins his 5th championship and potentially another Finals MVP. So I'm apart in these words: Lullaby, Superfly, Kawhi, Lakers in 5.
You cannot be stopped. And I just love your enthusiasm. But we're going to leave it there. Kay, we'll be back next week. It's going to be real. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been the Post Up Show. We'll be back.